Shout out to everybody who tuned in yesterday. You guys got the Heat Celtics game one play from John. That was Heat plus 8.5. And you can keep the points because Miami gets it done. They win outright. So nice little day in the NBA yesterday. 2-2 overall. We have a nice little card today. Only 6 games in the MLB. And then we have the NBA game 2, Lakers at Denver. We're going to get into all of that. And we're also going to do a little breakdown here of some of John's ratings, power ratings, top 5 teams, bottom 5 teams in the MLB. Before we get going, though, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment below. Saw all the comments yesterday. Appreciate you guys who are showing support. John, nice little play there with Miami yesterday. Jimmy Butler showed up. Playoff Jimmy, keep the points.
That was the key. I told you, I like this game. Miami had won the first 2 game ones, the 2 prior series at Milwaukee and at the Knicks. Had Celtics coming off that game 7, Tatum scoring an all-time game 7 high, 51 points. Just maybe a little bit of a letdown. Jimmy Butler, who was, we call playoff Jimmy in the first round against the Bucks, 37 points per game. Bucks, Heat scored 124 per game against the Bucks. He was a little nicked up. Game 2, he had to sit out with the Knicks. They only scored 104 points per game against the Knicks because Jimmy Butler, it was just Jimmy Butler, not playoff Jimmy in that series. Well, he had a few extra days to rest, and playoff Jimmy comes back. And guys, you can't make this shit up. I put it in the preview. Exact words were, Miami has won game 1 of the road, has won game 1 on the road in each of the first 2 series. Expect them to keep this one close. If playoff Jimmy shows up, in parentheses, 35 plus points, they will win outright. Jimmy Butler scored 35 points last night. Big game for Butler. But let's talk a little bit about Tatum. He had 30, but didn't attempt a field goal in the fourth quarter. Looked like we lost in the first half. The Heat come out with a 46-point third quarter, most in franchise playoff history. Boston lived on their defense last year, and I thought they were returning to that defense. They held the 76ers to 88 or less in 3 of the final 6 games of that series. But like I said, playoff Jimmy and the Heat returned to how they played in the first round against the Bucks. They put a $123 on the Celtics, including 46 in the third, and they steal game 1. So I told you guys yesterday, anytime I make a bet on a dog, especially in these playoffs, it seems that when the dogs win, they win outright. So hope you guys sprinkled a little on that money line. That was a big hit. Celtics now will come back in game 2. I'm going to get this is the exact records, but the Knicks, every team that's lost so far this year, every team that has lost every game 1, the home team, they've gone on to win game 2. Knicks are the only one that didn't cover. We'll get the record for you. We'll put that in our stats. But Boston will get their stuff right, and they'll come for game 2. My line is 9, and that's just exactly what the line is. Guys, the line is so important. Game 1 of the Denver Lakers series, told you my line was 5. That was the number they opened. There was no bet there for me. Just before tip-off, that line hit 7. At 7, now it's a bet. There was enough room. And you could see that game played right to the number. Heat, a little bit of different story, different circumstances. And like I said, that rest, playoff Jimmy, that's going to be the theory of the series. Heat now 6-0 in the postseason when he goes for 30 or more. He got 30 in the game against the Bulls, and then 5 times in the playoffs since the play-in game. So 6-0 when he goes for 30 or more. It's just that simple. Playoff Jimmy shows up, Heat win. He don't. He scores less. They got a tough game and maybe lose. But this is going to be a great series. So was the one tonight, Ben. You want to talk a little about last night?
Yeah, just to go on what you're saying about that trend. The trend is 21-1 to winning that home game if you're down 0-1 in the last 22 occurrences. That is 20-2 against the spread, 7-0 this postseason, 6-1 against the spread this postseason as far as those home teams down 0-1. But yeah, as far as last night, Miami showed up. That 3-point shooting was there. And similarly to the Nuggets in the way that, their 3-point offense at home, what they've been doing, the Lakers lack of 3-point defense. Miami was against the Knicks defense. They were giving up 3-point shots. Knicks weren't hitting. And we saw that early from Boston. I thought Boston would take advantage of it. But they kind of flipped the defensive game script a little bit. They were letting Boston have their way in the paint, the perimeter not as much, and they outshot them from deep. They took advantage of it. Philly couldn't make them pay. And Miami, if those key guys around Miami, Vincent, Kevin Love, Strus, if they can hit their threes when Adebayo and Butler open things up, it's going to be a fun series to watch. And I'm excited to see what Miami does.
16 for 31 last night. The Heat over 50 for three. You hit over 50% for three, you're going to win the game. I mean, that's the bottom line. Boston shot good, too. Like I said, they get off to a 66-57 halftime lead. But Miami just blows them out of the building, out of their own building in the third quarter with a 46-point third quarter. They were unconscious. And that's how they played in that Milwaukee Bucks series. Going into the playoffs, I thought Bucks were the best team. Miami is just a different team. The team that they were in the regular season to the team they are today.
Oh, yeah, different.
They lost one of their better players, Hero. It's amazing the level that they've kicked it up. But that's where we are. Tonight we're back to Lakers Denver. As I said, we took Lakers +7 in game one. The number one just high enough. Didn't look like we had a good bet early going. Looked like Denver's going to run them out of the gym. Up by 21. But they played 4 quarters. You got to play 48 minutes, and they didn't finish. They left the back door open. Get a little hot at the end. Reeves knocking down some threes. All of a sudden, it's a 3-point game. So we'll take that, what we call the little backdoor cover. Game tonight, I think it's right there. The line on this game is 5.5. It opened 5, remember, for game one. It gradually went up to 7, which I thought was just high enough. I thought 5 was the right line. Today, I think 5 is the right line again. Lakers will be looking to even up the series. Can they steal one there? As Ben was saying, very tough to beat Denver at home. Denver's second best home record during the regular season, and now 7-0 straight up, 5-2 against the spread in the playoffs at home. While Lakers, best record in the NBA since the All-Star break, just 2-5 on the road in the playoffs. So tall order for the Lakers, but I think the number's a fair number.
Yeah, this game is Lakers are nobody for me as far as this side. You know, everyone as far as LeBron James goes loves to talk about the stat sheet and what he does, but so much of what he is his basketball IQ. So as the series gets going, he is going to be the best at making adjustments, and Darvin Ham as well has shown that so far in his first year as coach. We saw that in game one with the halftime adjustments they already made defensively. And not to say Denver won't, but I expect this Lakers defense to come with a little bit better of a game plan tonight. So we'll see if that's the case. I expect them to keep it close. I like both game ones to go over. I like this game 2 to go under. Opened up higher. That game 1 was 222.5. This one opened up 225.5. Going as high now as 227. I think a bit too much of an overreaction. The pace was really high there in game 1. Second half slowed down. The scoring and the 3-point shooting was ridiculous for Denver in the first half of the game. That slowed down once they brought AD into an off-ball defender and they started bringing him in for help defense. I think that's where the Lakers were at their best. If the Lakers can continue to do that with AD off-ball and the help defense, I think they could win this game tonight. Lean to the Lakers on the side. I like the under a bit more, though. I don't see them winning unless they keep it low scoring.
Yeah, look, they've got to do something with Joker, and I'm not saying stop him because you're not, but you got to limit him. Now, AD went for 40 and 10, a great offensive game, but they've got to do a better job. So what I actually saw, what Ham said is when asked, what are you going to do with Jokic? And I believe he replied, kidnap him when he leaves the house. That's the only way to stop this guy. I think we said it yesterday, but for the guys, if you didn't watch, Joker now 55.9% shooting, averaging a triple-double in the playoffs. Okay, triple-double in the playoffs, 31 points, 13.5 boards, 10.1 assists. This is against all playoff teams. This again, no Pistons, no Spurs, no Hornets in this one. All playoff teams averaging a triple-double on nearly 56% shooting. If he continues at that pace, Denver wins again at home. Denver will have problems when they go to LA. Just as good as they were at home, they weren't on the road. I believe 18 and 23 on the road. So yeah, they'll have a tough time when they go up back to LA. Tonight's game, if you can limit, and again, you ain't gonna stop Joker, but if you could limit him, they can stay within the number. This is a tough game for the Lakers, though.
Then we have a small MLB card today in the MLB, guys. Just 6 games Thursday, big travel day. So a couple of carryover series, a couple of new ones. First one, John, we have Nationals at Marlins. Marlins just owned this matchup. Beat them 4-3 yesterday. Won the first 2 of this series. They've now won 9 of the last 11 in Miami against Washington. Pitching matchup, Williams versus Perez. Perez, top prospect in baseball. He allowed 2 runs in 4 2/3 in his first start. There's actually a account called Pitching Ninja. If you guys go check it out, they posted a side-by-side. His mechanics was Sandy Alcantara's. It was just very similar, eerie. And then it's Williams going for Washington. His last start was cut short due to the rain against the Mets. Prior to that, they won his 2 starts, gave up 5 runs in 9 2/3. Pitching edge, maybe slightly to Williams based on experience. I mean, Perez is too young in his career to really know what you're getting at him at this point. But the ownership there with the Marlins, I don't make the price this high. Ownership's tough to buck. Weird pitching matchup to get a read on. Slightly into Washington in this game, but I'm staying away.
Yeah, it's got to be a lean to Washington. We leaned to them in the first game, and actually more than a lean. We made a bet on the Nationals. Took a 5-3 lead into the ninth with 2 out, and Marlins responded with 3 runs, capped off by a solo 2-run homer, walk-off 2-run homer. Again, Nationals broke up top last night, 2-0, only for the Marlins to come back and win that one 4-3. These trends are trends for reasons, guys. Because they're trends. They happen. They work. This isn't a small 5 out of 6 sample size. So this went on last year. Marlins won 15 of the 19 meetings, and they've won the first 2 this year. Would be Nationals or nobody if the games go higher. They're going to force me to make this play. Would probably have made it, but one of their better hitters actually leads the team in batting average. Meneses, he's going to be out today. As of now, no bet on this one.
Then it's Dodgers at Cardinals. Urias versus Waino. Wainwright, he struggled in his first 2 starts. Kind of weird, though. First couple times through the order was okay, and then bull starts in that 3rd time around the order. 4th, 5th inning, gets cracked for 4 runs. So he's given up 8 runs in 10 innings. Urias, he's been a lot better his last 3 starts, 5 runs in 17 2/3. Prior to that, though, not the best, and he's had some road struggles. 1-2, 6.10, and 4 road starts. Dodgers sweep the Cardinals earlier this year. Both teams playing pretty good baseball right now. Cardinals have won 8 of 10. Dodgers are 15-3 their last 18. Lean to the over in this game. I think Waino's going to be good for 3 to 4 runs. Lean to the Cardinals, the home dog. Both teams with hot bats right now. Urias, the road struggles. Not too sure what we're going to get out of Wainwright tonight. Obviously, the first 2 starts haven't been the best. I kind of have this gut feeling we're about to get that Wainwright. He's back start. This is the first one he's going to look decent, maybe give us a quality start. But we haven't seen it yet, so I don't want to be betting on what a gut feeling is there.
Yeah, I'm going to give the big edge to Urias here. He looks like he's turned it around after a couple of ugly road starts. But Wainwright, my age, I think he's up there somewhere. But look, the guy's getting older. I'm not expecting much out of him. He hasn't shown me much. Urias hasn't pitched. I think he threw an inning against the Dodgers way back in 2018 in relief. He hasn't seen him since then. That's always going to be to the pitcher's advantage if those hitters haven't seen you. So he's turned it around a little bit. Cardinals, after banging out the Brewers for 18 runs on Monday, just come back with 2 runs Tuesday, 3 runs yesterday. So not smashing the ball. Dodgers red hot. Dodgers turned it around. Big number. Would normally be on the home dog in this one. I just give Urias a little too much of an edge. Again, would be Cardinals or no one if the number goes higher. But I would need more of a number to be interested in Wainwright in this one.
Yeah, another thing to watch with Wainwright. I mean, Cardinals have had some issues with the catchers this year. Obviously, Waino and Yadi Molina. He had a lot of experience with him throughout the years. I mean, maybe that was part of him being so successful kind of in the later years was Yadi behind the plate, calling a good game, knowing his stuff well. So some of that kind of stuff might be mixing in with Wainwright too as he's adjusting from the injury. Then we have Angels at Orioles. Orioles, they own this matchup as well. They beat them 3-1 yesterday. They've now won 10 of the last 12 meetings, 2 of 3 in this series. It's Anderson versus Wells. Wells has been great. They've won 5 of his last 6 start, just 1 run in 12 innings his last 2 times out. Anderson, he's been a bit better. They won his last 2 starts, 6 runs in 11 innings. Orioles do have a series coming up with Toronto. That whole AL East division going to be close this year, so that's something they got their eye on this weekend. This is a slightly into the Orioles. Number's kind of gone, though. No point in betting it at this place, at this number. I don't have the most faith in Anderson. He has been a bit better on the road. Maybe he starts to find a groove a little bit. The price is gone here. Baltimore, nobody.
Yeah, let me just jump up to the back to the Dodger game. I neglected to answer. Again, another owner series, as we talked about. Dodgers, they've won 7 of the last 8 meetings, including all 3 this year, earlier in L.A., by a combined 14-6. So, again, we put these trends up there every day. They're in our story. The trends, how the teams are going lately. Again, the trends are trends for a reason. Getting back to just exactly what Ben said, but the line makers are not giving the Orioles respect. They've been short on the Orioles each game this series, and the overnight has blasted up. So this game opened at minus 135 on the overnight, sitting right now at minus 160. That's what the line should be. Baltimore is for real. When we go over my ratings as far as top teams, we'll talk about it. This is the right now, the right line now at minus 160, minus 135. For sure, that was an Orioles bet. Again, these are the overnight line, guys. These lines are getting hit sometime before they're even up in a spot that you're available to make a bet at. So it's going to be real tough. It's going to be a challenge to get you guys the right team at the right number. But just so you know, this is the right side. Orioles are the right side.
And then it's White Sox and Guardians. This Guardians team just struggling offensively. No Jose Ramirez. Naylor's going to be missing. Pitching matchups, Allen versus Cease. Allen has only made 4 career starts. First 2 were solid. Last 2, not so much. 5 runs in 10 innings, 15 hits. Cease is coming off a good quality start. He was struggling, though, prior to that. Gave up 18 runs in 14 innings in 3 prior starts. Did have great numbers against the Guardians last year, sub-2 ERA. I can't really back this Guardians team with the bats missing. It's really tough. Lean to the under a little bit in this game, just with the Guardians bats not hitting, Cease's ownership. Might see a little goose egg there. And then as far as Allen, he had some good starts early against some lesser teams. I do think this White Sox lineup is down there as far as lesser teams. Maybe he gets a good start here against Chicago as well.
They're turning the corner a little bit right now, the White Sox, scoring 5.3 runs per game in their last 4 and batting .284 over their last 6. So turning the corner a little bit now as far as that. Cease turned the corner with a nice outing his last time out. He's much better than he'd been pitching this year. So we'll see if he gets to turn that around. And he's got his chicken soup today. He's got a Guardian team that he absolutely owns last year. And they're going to have 2 of their top bats out, Ramirez and Naylor, today. This is for a team that they missed 2 of their top bats that they're already 29th in hitting and 29th in scoring runs. So chances are they're going to be held to 2 runs or less. I want no part of the Guardians in this one, even though, to me, again, it's an overlay.
Yeah, that's what we thought with Pittsburgh yesterday, too. And next thing you know, they put a bait on Rodriguez. We'll see how that goes.
That's when it looks too good to be true. Look, Sharps, you guys got to remember that it's not only the bets that we win, it's the bets we save. Sharps were all over the Tigers yesterday. That game went up from, I think, 135 to 160. To me, I just didn't see it. I didn't want the Pirates. They were 2-12 their last 14, couldn't score. But there was no way I was going to lay Detroit at that price. So, again, these are the bets you save. I know you don't see them, but these are the bets the Sharps were on. We stayed off that game, and we count. We don't get another L.
Then we have Yankees at Toronto. It's been a fun series so far. A lot of, ejections and supposed cheating, everything else. And Blue Jays get their say yesterday. The walk-off from Jansen, scoreless all the way to the 10th. Today's Cortez versus Berrios. Cortez, he's been struggling. 15 runs, 18 hits, 14 innings his last 3 times out. Berrios, the opposite. He's been doing pretty good. 4 runs in 12 innings his last 2 starts. And good numbers at home, 2-0, 1.53 in 3 starts. Did not have the best numbers against the Yankees last year. This is a interesting matchup. Could only lean to the Yankees. Don't like batting Berrios too much, especially as a favorite. Yes, he's better at home, but he's a guy who can give up a big 4 or 5 run inning any start out. So lean a little bit here to the Yankees. Cortez not been pitching well either. Prior to last night, 9 straight Yankee games went over. They've been scoring, 7 runs per game heading into last night. Both teams struggling. Lean a little bit to the over in this game. I think the bats might wake up in the last game of the series.
How about last night? The real pitchers duel, Cole and Bassett. Hey, do you think the Mets want to redo on getting Verlander and getting rid of Bassett? Bassett going into last night was 5-1 with a 1.97 ERA in his prior 6 starts, only to throw shutout ball against the Yankees, doing a phenomenal job. He had one bad start. Opening game, he got crushed. Since then, he's been absolutely phenomenal. So the Mets might want to rethink what they did. Back to tonight, as Ben said, Berrios, he's been better. Berrios had come over to Toronto as a real good pitcher, a top line pitcher. Could have been a 1 or 2 on a lot of teams. Got crushed all year last year. Looks like he's turning it around a little bit. Has been better at home, as Ben said. Cortez, nothing of what he was last year. Smacked every time out. Basically, he's getting crushed. I want no part of the lefty Cortez in this one. Even though Vladdy, he was out last night. I'm going to go with he's probably going to be out again tonight. We'll wait and see on that info. But the line where it's at right now, minus 137-ish on Toronto, is right where I feel it should be. Just would rather have Berrios at home than Cortez, even though the Yanks were a little hot prior to getting blanked last night. Solid line. I'll lay off that one.
And last game on the short card, Rays at Mets. Surprised we didn't have Rays last night with the way they blew the lead. 3 in the 9th to tie it up, to go up 7-5 in the 10th, and then Pete Alonso walks it off. So nice little rally there for this ice-cold Mets team. Maybe see if that can snap things ahead for them. Still just 7-16 their last 23. Not been playing the best baseball. They are 2-2 their last 4. This Tampa team, last game of a pretty long trip, 5-5 trip. So don't like betting a team on the back end of a trip. Diaz and Franco going to be out of this. Matchup is Bradley versus McGill. Maybe give a slight edge to McGill. I mean, Bradley was good earlier in April, but they're bringing him up, bringing him down. I don't like a pitcher who has all that going on. The good thing is he's pitching for a job. He's pitching for a spot in the rotation, so you could argue that's good, but I think that's time to be more stressful. Don't like that. McGill, he's been one of the more consistent guys for this Mets rotation who's had injuries everywhere. So lean slightly at Tampa Bay just because they're a much better team, but I don't like what they're putting out today.
Yeah. Bradley is another top prospect. So they had him up in April, made 3 real good starts. Let me get that strikeout to walk ratio.
I believe it's 23-2.
23-2 and just over 15 innings in 3 April starts. They send him back down, and when he goes back to AAA, he actually struggled a little bit. They're recalling him now, so we'll have to see if he returns back to that April form or that AAA form. Just have a feeling. Look, the Mets, they're a better team than their record shows right now. You look up and down that lineup, and you have to say they're a better team. The Polar Bear knocks one out in the bottom of the 10th. I mean, they're a dead team. It's 5-2. You're playing the best team in baseball. You figure, okay, here's another L. 3-run homer in the 9th, 3-run homer in the 10th. Is this the type of game that propels them, that turns their season around? We'll see today. For me, it would have to be the Mets and nobody, just for the fact, long road trip, 5-5. With just today's getaway day, they go back home after today, and they're sitting 2 of their better hitters, Diaz and Wander Franco, 2 of their better hitters. Not in love with the play. If it was a bigger number, would have to be the home dog or nobody. As they said, just feel that this might be the turnaround game. Tampa Bay, as we've been talking about, we're talking about this for a while. Anytime a team has that big, huge lead, there's just going to be some regression to come back to the pack. We talked about it in the NBA with Denver. That's such a big lead out west. They're almost assuredly going to be the 1 seed. The last 7 games, they go 2-5 down the stretch. They didn't need to win every game. These things will happen with Tampa Bay now. It's such a huge lead. Guys needed a rest. Perfect spot. End of a long road trip, day game after night game. Let's put Wander Franco on the bench. No need to rush Diaz back. They'll sit 2 of their best hitters. So that's, who needs it more? Who needs it more to me is the Mets. They need to get another W today. to get their ship right. Big game last night. Tough card today. Right now, I do not have a bet in any of the 6 baseball games, and the 1 basketball game is literally on the number that I make it. So as of right now, unless we see some lineup changes or line movements, we'll be off. Took a couple of tough bells. Look, last night was an insane night for Major League Baseball. Astros get off the deck. I think it was 6-1. They walk it off in the 7th, in the 9th to win 7-6. They get a few in the 8th, a few in the 9th, and walk it off. Mets were an unrealistic comeback from 5-2 in the 9th, and then again down 7-5 in extras. The Texas game, the game we lost, that's just a heartbreaker. 5-3. Evaldi did just what we wanted him to do. Braves get 2 in the 8th, hit a homer in the 9th. A lot of unbelievable comebacks. And Blue Jays also 3-run walk-off in the 10th. So I had a lot of stuff going on last night. This is gambling. It's one pitch. One pitch turns the whole game around. This is it, guys. One of the most unbelievable things I saw all day, we already touched upon, was Rodriguez, who had been out. Pirates could not score a run. If you could throw them softballs up there, they couldn't hit it. And they go and they post 8 runs in a win. This is gambling. We have an edge when we give you a bet. When we don't have an edge, right? Just like today, I don't have a bet. I don't bet for entertainment. I'll go take my girlfriend out tonight. That'll be my if I don't have a bet. But I'm only gonna make a bet and tell you I got a bet when I got an edge. And I don't see a full cut edge today, not at the right price. Like I said, closest thing to an edge would have been the Orioles at the overnight price at -135. But laying -160 is no edge. You've got 2 guys named Trout and Ohtani on the other side can hit a 3-run homer at any time.
Yeah, speaking of having an edge, said at the beginning, we kind of go over your ratings a little bit just to talk about maybe some top 5, bottom 5 as far as power rankings right now in the MLB. As you guys know, it's all about numbers. And so, a little over, a month and a half now through the season. Thought we'd get a little check-in here and just kind of see where you're at with those.
Well, clear as day, the best team in baseball is. It's not a debate. They've got the highest team batting average. They've scored the most runs. They've hit the most home runs. They're the best pitching staff. Where do you start? And by staff, I mean the entire staff. They got relievers. They've used these openers. Just a phenomenal job with that organization. Not the highest payroll, but they get the job done.
Close.
The best team. I don't even think it's up for a debate. I'll go to the NL for 2 and 3, and you can put them either way you want. It depends. Right now, I'd have to say Dodgers, just because they're red hot right now. They just put May, the pitcher, on the IL as of today. So that's a little bit bad break. Just keep in your mind, Bueller also already out, has missed the whole year. But Braves, you've already got Fried and Wright and Ian Anderson, 3 of their pitcher starters from last year. Remember, Wright led the major leagues in wins last year. Yep. Fried, lights out pitcher. Just look at that staff with those guys in there. Then you would still have Strider, Elder, and Morton would be your number 5 starter. Now, number 5 starter. That's the potential. That's the best staff in baseball if healthy. But again, we go as of today. So Braves, little bit of a rough road trip. Dropped all 3 in Toronto. Got one back last night. So only 1, 2 of 3 in Texas. But the Dodgers are red hot. So I'll say Dodgers 2, Braves 3, and then just throw a couple of AL East teams in there.
Have to.
3 of them. I mean, you got Orioles, Blue Jays, and Yankees. Just before, while Judge was out, it looked like the Yankees were dead. The difference he makes to the team is just amazing. Totally different team. I put those 3 in any order you want. They're all right there. And then the 2 Western division teams in the AL, Houston and Texas. And again, those teams could be better. Houston was off to a terrible start, looking like they're turning it around. Another game that they won, we talked about yesterday. That's one of those games that turn around your season. Got to remember, Altuve's still out. You've got Garcia, Urquidy, and McCullers, 3 of their starters out. So they're doing this with a patchwork pitching rotation, headed by Valdez. So could Houston, you could throw Houston right up there. If healthy, they'll get Altuve back. They'll be better. And so let's not leave out Texas. Potentially the best pitcher of baseball is not pitching for them. DeGrom, Eovaldi, Martin Perez has got knocked around his last couple of times, but he did phenomenal year last year. You got Gray. They've got a nice staff. If DeGrom gets healthy, they just got Seager back. Probably their best player. Just got him back last night. He missed.
Assuming both rotations are healthy in that division, Seattle and Texas, whose rotation are you taking? I mean, Seattle's rotation as well been pretty impressive. Obviously, Castillo, Gilbert, Kirby.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ben. We're doing Seattle or Texas.
Yeah. Yep. In that division, obviously Houston's top dog just as far as in general. But between those two rotations, Seattle and Texas, who would you take fully healthy, assuming?
So you got Ray is out also for the season for Seattle. Castillo coming back to his regression. He was lights out first few starts, but Gilbert, Kirby pitching lights out. Mm-hmm. Gonzalez. So now you're down to your 4 starter again because Ray's not out there. Texas. It's tough to answer because it's DeGrom. If DeGrom is healthy, he's the best pitcher in the last 10 years. The guy's great. He's not healthy. I guess so. I'm going to go with what's on the field right now. What's on the field right now, I have to give a little bit of an edge to Seattle with the young guns, Gilbert and Kirby, just because Martin Perez's last couple of starts, he got knocked around a little bit. Hey, right there. But Texas gets the big advantage as far as hitting.
Oh, yeah.
Down near the bottom, I believe going into today, they're probably 28th, batting 229. Texas, a 10th a run behind Tampa Bay for scoring the most runs per game. Mm-hmm. So big edge for Texas in the hitting department. So if it's even close, that's why I've got Texas up there right with Houston. I'll mention them in the same breath. I think it's going to be a dogfight, the 2 Texas teams in that Western Division. Who's ever healthy. That's going to, as far as I can see, that's going to just determine who's going to win that division as they go down the stretch. Why don't you weigh in, Ben? Go ahead.
Yeah, that Astros team, like you said, as far as health, they've had a lot of health issues, rotation-wise and in the lineup. So if they can get healthy, obviously they're still going to be a threat. I said it the other day, I think the Angels are going to be on their downfall in that division sooner than later. This is usually about that time it starts to happen. So struggling in this series right now with Baltimore. We'll see if this continues to start to slide for them. And then, John, let's head back to the bottom 5 here. I mean, I know this one's going to be a little bit more self-explanatory. A lot of you guys who are betting every day in MLB, you guys should already know some of these teams, but just interested based on your numbers, who is that bottom 5 rounding out?
We'll call it the 5 to fade. The sickening 6. So it's 3 teams in the American League, 3 teams in the National League. Oakland, we've talked about it. Historically bad, horrible, terrible. The pitching is a disgrace. They can hit some lefties, batting around 260-ish against left-hand pitching. So when a lefty's up, and it's a big number, if it's not a great pitcher out there, that's the time to get a good number with Oakland. But still, historically bad. They're by far the worst team in the Major League Baseball. Kansas City and let's look like Kansas City, although they come up with a shocker yesterday without games we've been neglected to. You got Kansas City, one of the worst teams in baseball, going to San Diego. They're going to go with a bullpen game against the Padres' best pitcher, Darvish. The price is insane, but there just was no reason to take it. Figured this is a game San Diego had to have, and Kansas City goes on the road and get it. Look, they're still one of the worst teams in baseball. They can't do anything right. Singer, who was good for them last year, hasn't been getting it done, at least in the early part. Maybe he'll get it turned around. Most of the pitches there. Greinke, you can bet him at home. You can't bet him anywhere else. He goes on the road, he gets smashed. Just so I got KC down there. And then the White Sox, who just look like they're turning around a little bit now. Lynn had a decent game his last time out. Cease is a better pitcher than he's pitched. He threw 6 shutout innings his last game. He goes again today. So I think the White Sox will get better and get out of that sickening 6, and we'll leave it at the 5 to fade. the National League. Nationals, who are playing better ball and playing good baseball on the road. I believe going into today, just one game under 500 on the road. Cincinnati, they give you some good fight. And the Rockies, so we actually bet the Rockies over Cincinnati yesterday. The Rockies will get you your wins at home, just not so much on the road. But those are the 6 teams that I see as the bottom feeders, with the White Sox, with the capability, just because their pitching is better and they got a couple of bats, just enough to get out of there and join the likes of like the Tigers and that next round of teams that are just below absolutely disgusting. Let's hear yours, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my bottom 5 here, you got it. Oakland and Kansas City are just automatically in there. It's you can't not have them in that. As far as the National League, though, a couple more teams got to add in there. Cincinnati, agree with you. At this point in time, the San Diego Padres deserve an honorable mention to be there in that bottom 5. I mean, they are just playing disgustingly bad for how much they have on that roster, how much they have. Absolutely unacceptable. You get the win against the Dodgers last year. You re-up this year in the offseason and just going nowhere. So Padres, although, maybe not quite as bad as some of those NL teams, I'm giving them an honorable mention just because of what their expectations are and what they should be. I think they deserve to be in that bottom tier right now. Just disgraceful. Losing 2 or 3 to Kansas City with the ace on the mound when you're struggling this much.
At home.
Sometimes.
At home. That's
tough.
Look, San Diego last in the league in hitting. That we've talked about it almost every day. That alone tells you, once this trade was made with the Nationals last year, who we're saying is one of the worst teams in the National League, we figure, okay, San Diego's got the scariest lineup in baseball. You're now looking, once Tatis got healthy, at Soto, Machado. They bring Bogarts over. They're loaded. Not so much. Worst batting average in Major League Baseball. As of a couple of days ago, they were bat at 201 with runners in scoring position. I mean, it just, again, you look up and down this lineup and you say there's no way. They've got, just the way we talk about regression with a Tampa Bay team. They can't continue to play 800 ball because you're not going to win 128 games out of 152. Same thing with San Diego. That lineup is too good. They've got to win more. Just what the Cardinals did. Cardinals went on that West Coast trip. We talked about it earlier today. Dodgers outscored them 14-6. They got swept there. I think Cardinals lost like 10 in a row. They came back. They went to Boston, swept them, took 2 out of 3 from Milwaukee. They're red hot. They had to be. Any lineup that's got Goldschmidt, Arenado, Gorman, they just can't be that bad, and they're starting to turn that around now, although last couple of days, only 5 runs in the last 2 days. But they should get better, San Diego. There's just too many good bats in there not to get better. But so I still can't put them down with the dregs. But as far as being disappointing, they win the disappointment of the year. That's by far, no question about it.
And to give them some credit, if you look at their last, before this Kansas City last 9 games, they had 2 series with the Dodgers and the Twins. Twins have been having some of the better pitchers going this year, obviously Dodgers. So I can make an argument for them, but that's the division they play, and they play the Dodgers a lot. They're going to play these teams. Like, they have to be competitive. Disappointing start to the season, to say the least. But yeah, John, that's a little check in there on some of these MLB teams going here so far.
Look, we're 44 games into the season, a quarter of the season, actually a little more than a quarter of the season. You're dead last in hitting. You're dead last in hitting. Forget about who you played the last few weeks. That might explain why you're batting 170 over the last week, but you're batting 226. Let's also remember that they were helped out with 2 games where they batted 400 in those 2 games, or they're probably under 220. Hey, get your act together. They got a problem. Machado, it's just learned last night, he's got a small fracture in a hand. So they haven't decided yet if I don't even know what the decision is. I don't know how you play with a fracture on your hand hitting baseballs. I don't know, but they haven't put him on the injured list yet. You take him out of the lineup, and you make a weak lineup even weaker. So we'll look to see what happens on that one.
Yep, lots of going on there. A lot of injuries, as you guys know. Injuries. That's what affects these betting lines. Being on top of it, it's all it's all about. If you guys haven't yet, go to the App Store, go to Google Play, download the How to Beat the Bookie app, go to the website, howtobeatthebookie.com, sign up there. We'll give you guys game breakdowns to every game. You get updates on all these injuries throughout the day. And then, of course, you get John's bets and his ratings as well. John, you got anything else? Small card today, and then obviously a big weekend coming up.
Big weekend, already working on tomorrow's card. Hope to well, we've been missing a lot of bets, as I talked about the Orioles, because they're opening the overnight lines, and these lines are moving 15, 20 cents before there's even a market out there, before they're up on enough books. So we'll see with the work already being done with a small schedule today, if we can take advantage of that. So I'm right here working on this stuff already so we can get a jump on tomorrow's baseball.
Well, that's what we'll be doing tonight, guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow, comment, do all that stuff. Let's make some money, John.
Some money.